The world doesn't kill you with zombies. First, it kills you with cold concrete and moving air when you don't know how to build 4 walls. It's day 3 after everything snapped. The last thing your phone ever told you was emergency alert, and then it became a shiny pocket mirror. The government broadcast loop has gone from remain calm to pure silence. That miracle shelter the news promised? It's a smoking hole in the ground guarded by nobody and trusted by fools. Meanwhile, everyone around you is duking it out over food like the apocalypse is just a badly managed supermarket sale. They're thinking in weeks. Your real timer is set to hours. Starvation takes a while. Dehydration steals days. But exposure? Exposure erases you overnight, quietly, without dramatic music. Wind and wet don't care that you still have half a pantry and a motivational quote on your wall. 3 people step into the ruins with equal gear. One understands how heat actually moves. Guess which one is still breathing when the snow starts? Survival rule number 1. Physics does not care about your personality, your follower count, or your feelings. Either you bend the laws of thermodynamics in your favor, or they file you under miscellaneous organic matter. Right now, you've got a handful of daylight and a junkyard of broken civilization around you. No tools worth naming, just trash, time, and whatever's left of your knees. The mission is simple to say and hard to do. Build something that keeps your core temperature boring. Welcome to Emergency Architecture for Lost Causes. I'm Wasteland Badger, and today's lesson is brutally clear. Build shelter, or become a cautionary tale people step over. Phase 1. Choosing a spot that doesn't hate you. Location is not about nice view. It's about air, water, and gravity. You want the high seats in this broken theater, but not the nosebleed row. Aim for a rise 20 or 30 feet above the surrounding land. High enough that runoff and heavy dust slide past you, low enough that you're not climbing a mountain every time you have to pee. Why higher? Because heavy particles, cold air, and bad decisions all slide downhill. Radioactive dust, chemical runoff, smoke, and fog, those hug the low places. The hollow that feels cozy right now is a future bowl of poison and floodwater. Next, the wind. Air in motion seems harmless until it's 2 a.m., raining sideways, and your body heat is being stripped away like a hacked bank account. A modest wind can make a mild night lethal. Wind chill is just nature's way of saying convection hates you. So you hunt for windbreaks. Big rocks, thick tree trunks, earth berms, the overturned trailer nobody bothered flipping back. Anything that blocks a straight line blast. You don't want to live on the barrier, you want to live behind it. And here's the trap. The nicest looking shelters, the intact store, the standing house are also the ones every other desperate human will gravitate to. You are not building a clubhouse. You're building a den. Pick boring, pick ugly. Pick the half-collapsed loading dock behind the strip mall instead of the bright gas station everybody can see from the highway. Prey survives by not being noticed. Predators waste calories fighting over keys to the same shiny ruin. Water is next on your checklist. You want it within walking distance, not hugging your front door. Streams swell, storm drains, vomit, and cute little creek becomes indoor swimming pool of regret faster than you can move your sleeping bag. 200 yards away with a bit of elevation between you and the banks? That's a negotiation you can live with. Phase 2. Stealing the right junk. No tools? Fine. Civilization has thrown you a scrapyard puzzle. You're now a ruin diver with an engineering minor. Priority 1 is heavy, flat stuff. Stones, broken pavers, chunks of concrete. Flat faces stack, round ones roll. You're not assembling a rock Instagram. You're creating short, stubborn walls that don't care about time. Every stone should bridge the gap between 2 beneath it, so no vertical crack runs all the way up. That's how you avoid the one good shove and we're done design philosophy. Next, rigid panels. Sheet metal, doors, roofing, big pieces of plywood, even refrigerator panels. Corrugated metal is king because the ridges act like tiny beams, adding strength while guiding water where you want it to go away from your bed. Smooth, thin metal by itself sags under weight and becomes a surprise water dump. You're also hunting insulation. Seat cushions ripped from abandoned cars, foam, fiberglass from ruined walls, piles of clothing nobody claimed. These aren't nice to have. They're the only thing between your spine and a planet that wants to leach heat from you via conduction. Finally, waterproof layers. Tarps, plastic sheets, intact garbage bags, shower curtains. Anything that stops liquid water and slows down invisible vapor creeping up from the dirt. For tools, you cheat. A paint can with a sturdy handle becomes a hammer. A length of rebar is a pry bar. Broken glass wrapped in cloth becomes a razor. You don't need a hardware store. You need leverage, edges, and weight in your favor. Phase 3. Bullying the ground into cooperating. The dirt is lying to you. It looks solid on top, smug and innocent. Underneath, it's a sponge waiting to shift, crack, and drown you. Step 1. Scrape down. Clear away leaves, roots, moss, and anything that was recently alive. Organic matter soaks water like drama soaks attention. You want the hard, compact soil that doesn't flinch when you poke it. 6 inches is a bare minimum. More if the top layer feels soft or marshy. That compact layer hardpan is your ally. It's been sitting there for centuries doing nothing. Now it works for you. On top of that, you build a perimeter of stacked flat stones in a rough rectangle. Not a circle, you're not a medieval stonemason. Rectangles forgive your incompetence. Think of each stone course like Lego for adults who aren't allowed more plastic. Each rock overlaps the gaps beneath, so no straight fault line runs top to bottom. Concentrated force snaps things. Spread out force merely shrugs. You're teaching weight to take the scenic route. Before you drop anything permanent, lay down a moisture break. Plastic sheets, trash bags, an old billboard tarp if you scored one. Dirt is a highway for water molecules. That thin barrier is a toll booth saying, find another path. Add a shallow trench or ring of gravel outside your rectangle so rain has somewhere better to go than under your spine. Phase 4. Giving the bunker its bones. You're building a haven, not a cathedral. Function beats pretty by 1,000 miles. Raise your stone foundation at least 3 layers high. Stone at the base gives you compression strength and a thermal flywheel. It soaks up heat when it's warm, then leaks it back when things cool off. Above that, you can afford to use lighter, sketchier materials. For upper walls, lean scrap panels against the stone edge at an angle, forming a half-tent shape. That lean-to profile does 3 things. It sheds rain, deflects wind upward, and uses less material than a full box. If you have enough lumber or doors, you can build 2 angled walls meeting at a peak for an A-frame, but a single sloping side is faster when daylight is bleeding out. Every gap is a heat leak. Shove mud, clay, pine needles, shredded clothing, even dry grass into seams. You're not aiming for laboratory-grade airtight. You're aiming for no howling drafts on your face at 3 a.m. Moving air is your enemy. Still air is insulation you don't have to carry. You need a doorway, but you also need that doorway to disappear. A hanging sheet of metal, a heavy tarp, a salvaged interior door all work as long as you can seal the edges with rocks or extra cloth at night and still shove it open in seconds if something goes wrong. Above head height, cut or leave a small opening for ventilation. Not a giant hole, just enough that hot air and smoke have somewhere to go. Your fire will try its best to murder you with invisible gases. You counter by giving those gases the uphill escape route they're begging for. Phase 5. Convincing the sky not to fall on you. Roofs are where amateurs die. They underestimate water, overestimate their scrap metal, and wake up under a very personal media shower at 2 in the morning. Your roof must do 2 things. Never hold a puddle and never collapse under whatever the clouds throw at it. That means slope, real slope, not, I think it's tilted. Aim for an angle steep enough that water refuses to loiter. Lay a ridge beam across the high side, an old pipe, a sturdy branch, a door on edge, and rest your panels against it like 2 hands meeting at the top. Always start from the bottom edge and work upward, overlapping each higher piece over the one below like scales or shingles. Water follows gravity. If you give it a continuous downward path, it behaves. If you line panels like cards tossed on a table, water finds the seams and laughs at you. Corrugated metal is your best friend here. Those little ridges turn a flimsy sheet into a mini bridge. Align them so they run downslope, helping water run off instead of sideways into joints. If all you have is flat plastic or tarps, stretch them tight, slope them hard, and give them strong anchor points, rocks, stakes, tied off vehicle parts. Rainwater plus wind is an expert at finding lazy knots. Under the roof, stuff every cavity you can with soft material, jackets, foam, upholstery. You're building a quilted lid where the air can't swirl freely. Trapped air pockets mean heat loss slows down, and slowing is the best you can hope for. Phase 6. Heat without self-immolation. Fire is the original cheat code and the original boss fight. Done right, it dries clothes, boils water, cooks food, and tells your lizard brain the universe isn't entirely hostile. Done wrong, it quietly fills your lungs or loudly turns your shelter into a memorial. Put your fire pit well away from walls and flammable junk. 3 feet is minimum, more is better. Line the pit with stones, not river rocks that might explode when heated, but dry, solid chunks. These stones absorb heat while the fire is roaring, then leak it back when coals go dim, turning your whole corner into a moderate radiator. Behind the fire, stack a low wall of rock or metal angled to bounce radiant heat back toward where you sleep. Think of it as a poor man's reflector oven for your body. Smoke must have a path. Rig a crude chimney or hood out of ducting, nested cans, metal pipe, or even a triangular tunnel of sheet metal. Feed it out through the roof or high wall gap, then seal around it as best you can with mud and scrap. Hot smoke wants to rise. Your job is to give it a direct freeway upward instead of letting it swirl around your lungs. If open flame is too risky, play the slow game. Heat stones outside, then bring them in and tuck them under your bed platform, wrapped in cloth. It's not glamorous, but radiant heat respects nobody's ego and still follows the rules. Phase 7, staying dry, hidden, and sane. At this point, you technically have walls and a roof. Now you have to make the thing livable enough that it keeps you going instead of grinding you down. Walk around your structure right after a rain, or simulate one by dumping water on strategic spots. Anywhere liquid pools near the foundation, reshape the ground with your hands, a board, or sheer frustration. You want the earth sloping away like a shallow cone so nothing stands still right next to your base. Water that sits is water that seeps, rots, and breeds friends you don't want. Inside, your worst enemy is the ground stealing heat. Never sleep directly on dirt or concrete. Build a platform with pallets, branches, stones topped with planks, anything that lifts you a few inches. Add layers: cardboard, clothes, foam, leaves in bags. Every layer traps a slice of air. Every slice is another small insult to the laws of conduction. Keep repair supplies inside: extra plastic, tape, cordage, small tools, spare insulation. Your shelter will not fail gracefully. It will tear at 3 a.m. in a storm. Future you will thank past you for stashing patching material 5 feet from your bed instead of 50 yards away in the dark. On the outside, make the whole thing look like trash. Break up straight lines with branches, leaves, and scrap. Shine attracts attention. Your goal is to be the ugliest pile of nothing in the area. The best fortress after the fall is the one nobody notices. Finally, accept this. The shelter will always feel slightly too small, slightly too damp, slightly too temporary. That's not failure, that's reality. The point isn't comfort, it's survival. Comfort is situational. Hypothermia is permanent. So you maintain. You walk the perimeter after storms. You poke at joints for wobble. You patch tiny leaks before they become waterfalls. You treat entropy like a patient assassin and never give it a free shot. Because the wasteland does not care how hard you tried. It cares whether you're smart enough to learn what the wind, the water, and the ground are trying to tell you. Perfect is a pre-collapse word. Out here, good enough tonight beats ideal someday every single time. If this gave you ideas, hit like, subscribe to Wasteland Badger, and send it to that one friend who thinks wind is a vibe instead of a survival skill. Tomorrow's disasters are already walking your way. What you sleep in tonight decides whether you meet them standing up.